19 was the superior car. On new tires, he could just run away from everybody. But the last run he run, I don't think he went out there and got as far in the front. I think he probably saved his tires a little bit because he knew he had the best car.
Well, but he never had to race nobody.
No. Yeah. I think he passed one or two cars, and that was about it.
No disrespect, boy, a lot of people had some trouble on pit road.
A lot of people lost so much ground in the pits.
Yeah, it's like you talked about your pit crew.
They were pitiful.
Okay, but that's another story.
It was very interesting all the way through.
Yeah.
And it started off typical race. Everybody got in line. Everybody just run. And
let's restart that. The 21 made it exciting.
Well, okay, yeah, you're right. And how all those cars behind him missed him is a mystery. You mean? I guess everybody was so uptight. If anybody moves, they make their move.
And they was already up to speed too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, but go ahead. Yeah.
But they made 2 pit stops before they had the first caution. Before the
first stage.
The stage came up, and the 42 started at 30-something, and he stayed out and got the lead in the race, and then they come up and passed him, and he still ran up 10. But there was no way he was going to stay in the back and get to the front by passing 30 cars. So that was probably one of the better moves that they've done lately.
Best strategy we've seen all night or
strategy
something.
Was perfect on that.
But and the 21 all but took out the second place car. Now but he had new tires on. They only had one lap on them. Yeah.
But the deal was, he hit with the right rear, and it didn't really affect the car a whole lot.
Yeah.
You mean?
But the grip was still up on the tires too, and everything. But I think it was a good race. First race I've been to in a while, and I sat on the 43 box, and I think all the pit stops was decent compared to. A lot of people had some trouble on pit road. A lot of people lost so much ground in the pits. I mean, the 11 car, was really a good car, and a couple of them run around there and didn't even have their air wrenches hooked up. I mean, and these were good cars. These are people that win races, and so everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect on it. Yeah, it's like you talked about yours. Pit crew.
They were pitiful.
Okay, but that's another story. But talking about that, Richard, it was really proud of the 43 and the 42, and that made it a good race for me and you. I just wonder what the fans
good race for
said.
us. Yeah. It was something we could enjoy because we was up there racing for the deal. But the 19 was the superior car. Okay.
Yeah.
And on new tires, he could just run away from everybody.
Yeah.
And then for about 15, 20 laps. Then everybody would get to run the same speed, and then the next part of the race, they'd all start catching up with him. You know what I mean? And so he used himself up. But the last run he run, I don't think he went out there and got as far in the front. I think he probably saved his tires a little bit. Because he knew he had the best car.
Well, coming to you mentioned that I'm sitting on the 43 box, and it's coming down to 2 stops to go if there's no accidents. Yeah. And there's going to have to run 44 laps to make it come out right. And then that one caution made them have to run 52.
Yeah, right.
And so, but you mentioned the 19 again, but he made up, he had the best, one of the best pits and all that.
Oh, he had the best pit, yeah.
But he never had to race nobody.
No. Yeah. I think he passed 1 or 2 cars, and that was about it.
No disrespect to that.
Yeah.
Well, he lapped some people, and then on the waiver rounds and the lucky dogs and all that, they got it all back. But, it was really a good night for the Legacy Motor Club. But
well, they made it interesting right there at last because they caught up with the 19 car and the 45 car made a couple of passes at him, but the deal was the 19 was just stayed steady. He didn't change his groove. He didn't do anything. He done one of them perfect races from that standpoint. But he had the car to do it, and he was patient enough
to do it.
Strategy,
everything worked for him.
Everything worked for him, man.
And
and he won both the segments, and then he won the race, got 60 points. And the only reason he didn't get 61, he started second. So, that's about as good as you can do.
But it was a hard race to keep up with, Richard, other than the front runners, because there was so many mistakes on pit road and a lot of green flag stops, Richard.
Yeah.
Because I believe the 48 car come in like 20 some laps or something. He was about the first one to come in, and then his pit stops got him all messed up. But you mentioned that the 42 car, John Hunter, when he stayed out on them old tires, he was better than some of the past race where other people had stayed out and just he wasn't completely dead in the water.
He wasn't completely dead.
Yeah.
He was probably a half or 3 seconds slower than other people, but they had new tires and he didn't.
Yeah, I get all that.
Still yet he held his pace, and once he got to a pace 32, 20 or 30 around the track, he stayed there. In other words, it fell off to a certain deal and then didn't fall off no more.
Well, you mentioned that. I was lost in the water because I left my darn stopwatches at home.
You did. How can they run a race if you ain't got your stopwatches?
Boy, it wasn't easy. But I could look over their shoulder and see a little bit. And the 4 engineers on the box and the crew chief, they don't ever see the car. They just see what's in front. Well, a couple of them got to go down and be on the pit stop.
It wound up that the first 4 cars, the strategy was good. The 5th car with AJ, they never mentioned poor AJ. He run all night long, run up there. I don't think they ever showed him on TV till the race was over. And he had his pit crew, and everything went good for him. He had a super good, because that's not one of his better tracks. He's usually terrible down there, but everything worked in his way. And then the 23 ran really good until the sun went down, and then he got where he couldn't run at all.
Yeah, he wasn't very well. He got track position one time, and about halfway through the stage or something, his car just quit. Yeah. And I'm surprised he wasn't a bigger factor in it. And they interviewed him. Me and Chris was on the way home, and he was a little disappointed, but he was pretty good. He was pretty good shape that he's still in the hunt for the championship.
He's still in the race deal. Yeah.
But
the Fords were terrible down there. I mean, the 21 car qualified pretty good.
Third.
And he was third. But the rest of the Fords was way back, and they never ran good. It was just one of the deals, and that's a Ford racetrack, or always has been.
Yeah, it was.
And
it was in the 60s.
It was when we used to run, and they was none of them run even decent. You mean what? First one was what, 11th or something? You know what I mean?
10th was the first one.
Yeah, and the Chevrolets really wasn't that good. You know what I mean? I guess
was,
AJ wound up. He was way better than any other Chevrolets.
I guess if you was a crew chief and making notes, and you for the next Darlington race was to get a Toyota. So, but you can't. But okay, that's and they had a good crowd, Richard.
It was a pretty decent crowd, yeah. But I think they had a good show all the way through the whole race, because there was somebody racing somebody, and like I say this before, but you don't see it on TV. But you see them guys back there again, 20th or 30th. They racing the far out of each other. So there's always somebody passing somebody.
But I know I'm repeating myself, but there was so much action on pit road.
Yeah,
under green flag stops and.
It wound up, the race was not won or lost on pit road.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It could have been
factor,
won, but it was not lost. 3 or 4 of those cars that were capable of running up front eliminated herself with pit stop.
Yeah.
And, so that would have made it more interesting at the end of the race.
To bring up on that, it probably was 11 car.
He was probably the biggest one.
Biggest one.
But can you imagine running and have 4 cars that close at the end of the race,
or
the 3 cars or the 2 cars, that close at the end of the race. And most of the time it don't come down to that. But Darlington's pretty well known for that. It usually comes down to right at the end of the race. They've had some really, really good finishes at Darlington.
Yeah, but you mentioned that, but we're talking about probably the last 52 laps. The first 4 cars probably never got separated more than 2 seconds. And they never changed.
They never changed position.
They was there and stable,
Well, they'd get behind a little bit, and then the other car would catch somebody, and then he'd catch back up. So they stayed pretty much. They stayed the same distance away from each other the whole part of the race. But and you didn't know that 45 made a last ditch deal to get by the 19 car, and he got up to his rear. But coming off the corner, then the 19 had the groove and just drove off and left.
And he was cool enough to not take both of them out. You know what I mean?
Well, I was waiting for him to take him out because the 43 and 42 was right there.
I got home a decent hour for an old man at 11:20, and I had it taped, and I skimmed through it and watched some of the highlights I wanted to see. Yeah. So I guess that's how hard. And I was pulling for Eric to still win the race after I was watching it on tape. But we mentioned that Toyota's being so good this week, and we're going to St. Louis.
It's a whole different deal.
And
completely different.
You might need a Ford for that or a Chevrolet. So
we'll wait and go see what happens up there.
Yeah, it's certainly coming up, and I wish we was in the hunt for the championship, but the best we can hope for now is 17th in points, and Mike can get to 18th, but I don't believe we can get to 17th with the 43 or the 42.
They'll give it a good try, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
I don't want to say one way or the other because the cars have changed so much, and the cars are a lot more important than they used to be. Used to be drivers could make up some deals that the car didn't handle good. Now if the cars don't handle good, the drivers can't make it
up. Yeah, I'm like Richard. I ain't going to comment on that because it's just such a different world. But if you left this car out of it, Bobby Hamilton was the best we had.
They just got all the dominoes hooked up at Darlington, and they have been a little bit better. They were better at Daytona, and then we come to Darlington, and I don't know. It's just one of those deals where if you can get everything all lined up, like the 19 had all his checkers in the right place. We almost had all the checkers in the right place. So the cars are so important now, even as far as I'm concerned, even more so than the drivers.
I don't know, yeah. But when we go over to the race shop and I ask questions, they're moving the belly pan, which we didn't have I can't even say what a number, and it's going to make a big deal. So you got to have all your ducks in a row and the pit crew in a row and on the right track and no mistakes and everything. But it's just a different world.
I got out of it with a broke shoulder, a dislocated shoulder, and I don't think I was hurt until they pulled the car was upside down, and when they pulled the seatbelt, I fell and hit the top of the car, and I think that's what broke it. So I think they was the one that broke my shoulder.
If I'd have known you were going to criticize me like that, I'd let you fall on your neck. But
it already been broke.
But it happened right in front of us, Richard, and we'd done wrecked a Superbird, and we was down there with a Roadrunner that wouldn't keep up, and you was trying to keep up, and I mean, when me and Richie Bars kindly laid down on our belly and got in the car, your hands was just laying on the top.
I was out of it. I was knocked out.
I know it, and so we got a hold of you and released the seat belt, and you did we slowed you down a little bit, and you said, "Oh," so I knowed you was alive, so that was some encouragement. But another part of that story, when they put you in whatever it was as an ambulance, you was on a stretcher that had rollers, and they didn't even strap it down. I was trying to hold it from rolling out, and the driver was trying to get you to the hospital.
They went down pit road the wrong way.
All kind of, okay. But you're still here, bud.
No, that was really nice. The guys sponsoring the car, they didn't want their name on the car, but so they donated enough money to get the car in, the truck in. So having Victory Junction on the truck was really a big deal for the camp.
Yeah, I went over and the camp's about a mile and a half, 2 miles from my house, and I went over and volunteered when we was cleaning ground and everything for 2 weeks and wound up 2 years. And I'm just so proud of how far it's come along. I never dreamed it's like racing is today. I never dreamed it would be that big.